1961. Jerusalem. Nazi war criminal Adolf Eichmann sits on trial for orchestrating the deaths of millions of Jews. His defense is 4 words. I was following orders. The world calls it a lie. A young Yale psychologist named Stanley Milgram wonders, what if it isn't? Milgram recruits ordinary men from all walks of life. Each arrives at a Yale laboratory, believing they are part of a memory study. They are seated before an electric shock machine, 30 switches, starting at 15 volts, ending at 450. A man is strapped in the next room. The volunteer is told, administer a shock every time he answers wrong. Increase it every time. The man in the next room screams, begs, goes silent. The volunteer turns to the experimenter, visibly distressed, desperate for permission to stop. The experimenter, calm, authoritative, in a gray lab coat, says only, the experiment requires that you continue. Most volunteers turn back to the machine, and they keep going. Milgram had surveyed psychiatrists before the study. They predicted that only sadists, fewer than 1%, would reach the maximum voltage. The actual result demolished that assumption entirely. 2 out of every 3 ordinary, decent, mentally healthy volunteers administered the full 450 volts to a man they believed was in agony. Ordinary people. Extraordinary compliance. Milgram ran over 20 variations. When the authority figure left the room, compliance dropped sharply. When the volunteer could see the victim face to face, compliance dropped further. When the authority figure wore casual clothes instead of a lab coat, fewer obeyed. The conclusion was undeniable. It was never about personality. It was always about the system, the setting, and the symbol of authority. The screams were fake. The shocks were never real. But what Milgram recorded was completely real. The human tendency to surrender moral judgment to authority. He didn't just explain how ordinary Germans followed orders during the Holocaust. He proved that under the right conditions, any of us could.